This is the first huddle that we've ever had, which is in view of the Empire State Building, because usually we're in a dark space. Digital Kids has made it possible for us to have an actual round table, and we're just summarizing some of the trends. Could you just each say your name and where you're from?
Kira Reppin. I'm an advisor.
Okay.
Grant Hosford, CodeSpark.
Okay.
I'm Rory O'Connor from the Creativity Hub, creators of Rory Story Cubes and the Extraordinaires Design Studio.
Okay.
Renee Rice, Toy Trend Expert, Toy Trends.
Okay.
Wendy Smolin, Sandbox Summit and Play Collective.
Okay. Warren Buckleitner, Children's Technology Review. And so we've all witnessed some of the Toy Fair.
And they're looking for something where they can mix and match their play experience, like play with it physically, digitally, move around with it, switch things up.
So would it be fair to say that Maker was a key trend? Does anyone want to share some of the Maker things that you saw that were...
I saw two great Maker things. One was at Think Fun. It was Maker Studio. And it was taking a box, taking any piece of household item that you have, and they gave you the stuff to put around it, so the gears, the connectors, and you could basically create whatever you wanted. And I thought that was...
And it used like a macaroni and cheese box.
Yeah, and David Yakos, who started it, said this is how he started, and he now designs things for NASA.
And another cool thing about that is the gears. They look like wood, but they're actually plastic, and you can they're all 3D printer compatible. So did you know that?
No, I didn't.
Yeah. So if you want to print some more gears for something you're making, you can actually just download them and make them.
And I think what they've hit on is that it actually comes from makers. So it's people who are doing this and are passionate about it. And again, we've kind of heard retailers, they get excited when they know there's like a heart to what's being made, especially in this space. It's not a cynical product. It's like, David is exuberant about what he does, and I think the retailers are buying into that.
I do think there should be maker police out there taking the fake makers and saying, what you're doing is turning kids into assemblers, not makers.
Yeah.
And, the true spirit.
But one of the fascinating things about that product in general is that Think Fun said that they had a difficult time with the retailers who didn't even know what maker fairs were, and that there's maker fairs all across the world and in the US. They'd never been to one. They didn't know what it was. Yeah. They just weren't getting the idea of, like all of us do, because we're kind of in that space, but the retailers weren't getting it yet. They said it was sometimes a hard sell.
I think if you call it crafting, they get it, and the other really just innovative Maker toy I saw was Toyish. And it was crafting and building and open-ended fun together.
Yeah.
So that was also
So check out Toyish.
Toyish.
By who?
It's by Toyish.
By Toyish. So great. Any other gems that need to be talked about, or key trends that we need to capture?
Why don't you talk, because you've got a...
There's a product that I saw last year that I was really excited about, and they're here again this year. It's Digital Dream Labs, and they have a product called Ludos, and they're teaching the principles of programming. They're not trying to turn you into a programmer, but they're doing it through like a hands-on tactile, almost like programming board, where you place blocks and then you see how that has an impact on the screen. And what I really love about that is it gives you immediate feedback, and I think that's what's been missing from a lot of this kind of coding, hands-on coding stuff, is that it's too long for the child to get the feedback, whereas this, they get it straight away. So it encourages experimentation with programming, and now they've kind of taken almost like a Nintendo game model, and they've a new game which is about chemistry. So you're putting chemical molecules together and then seeing how they trigger and react. So again, you get to experiment without blowing anything up.
Renee, you have your three trends.
Yeah, the one trend that kind of the maker movement also falls into is that whole little scientist, where it's all about the STEM products, science, technology, engineering, and math. And robotics is now in there. I call it's more the stream model now: science, technology, robotics, engineering, art, and math, which leaves out language, but in any case, they'll get there.
There's another E for English.
But adding the whole robotics piece of it, Ozobot has their 1-inch little robot who was on the floor doing a great job. That little tiny robot that is the world's smallest programmable robot. Moss Modular Robotics was in. They were there. Anki was there with their Anki Drive, which is an expensive product, but it's adult and kid playing together. You've seen that intergenerational play. that's happening.
And fully integrated with an app.
Yeah, so this
in the
whole little
smartphone.
scientist trend is also what's driving people to understand the maker movement better too, a little bit. You know, that you're making things and you're getting kids that hands-on experience, and that, you know, makes them remember it better and, you know, really get the concepts. So that's the first concept. The second is beyond reality, which is a lot of this technology stuff, some of which is used to enhance the play pattern. We talked about some examples a little bit earlier that may be out there, but testing new technologies. And the third trend is express yourself that I'm seeing. You know, a lot of these crafts and creativity coming to the fore, and it's boys and girls, customizing, personalizing. I know those have been done before, but now it seems like there's this wealth of teenage stuff coming back up again that also includes apps, so that they can, you know, collect and connect and trade and track their collections online, as well as building it and sharing with other girls. It's My Biz by Fashion Angels has, you know, their line of product that teaches kids how to become an entrepreneur if they want to. So there's this whole career thing that's coming up as well. So those are some.
There was an interesting career thing that I noticed. There was in the Game of Life. They said what are the new career? They added their new Game of Life has new careers, and I found it actually funny what their careers were. The new careers they added were a video game designer, the inventor, a chef, a secret agent, and a singer. Now, of all of those, what do you think makes the most money, according to kids?
Singer.
Least.
The least?
No, I'm sorry. Chef was the least. Singer was 70,000.
Video game designer.
Video game designer was the most.
Makes the most money.
According to kids. According to kids.
Well, probably because it was also the most fun, but they also, those were user generated
Boy, are they
from
misguided.
kids.
Those were
The
user
new-
generated from kids, and then
new things.
yet they're
slaves.
different than the Barbie, the new Barbie this year,
is a
Speaking
movie
of,
which is a movie director.
The career Barbie. is
The
the
career
movie
Barbie.
director this
Okay.
year.
Career Barbie.
speaking of, for people who can't be here, a couple of the big headliner toys what that we've already talked about, but I just want to summarize them. One is the talking Barbie, Siri inside a Barbie, kind of the idea that she can carry on an intelligent conversation.
Barbie's always on trend, so what's the next trend? She's going to be moving into something else.
That's
Every year, the toy industry is looking for something new, and Barbie's always top of trend. So she uses voice recognition technology. So when a child talks to her and they have a conversation, Barbie talks back, but Barbie remembers what they talked about, and later will bring it up in the conversation. Like if they're talking about New York and fashion, later she'll say, "Well, what kind of a job do you want to have in the future?" And the little girl goes, "I don't know. I haven't thought about it." "Well, you like New York? What about a fashion designer or something in the fashion industry?" And so the little girl's like, "Wow, yeah," because it goes back to what she thought about. So in a sense, it's magical for a girl, and these are little girls. They're like, it's going to be 5 to 8 years old. This is magical.
And I do think that gender stereotyping is alive and well after my experience at Toy Fair.
Yes, it still is. But there are companies like Lottie. They're doing a paleontologist Barbie. They're doing a.
Please tell me she's not pink.
No, she's not pink. And they're doing a spaceman. They're from the UK. They're doing a space thing, and they're doing it together with the Space Academy of Europe. So it ties all into things that you
and the
can
maker
learn.
of those the Think Fun ones were gender neutral. I mean,
Yes.
as gender neutral as
Yeah.
they can be. There's
There are a lot of companies that are top of mind thinking of gender neutral products and.
So, knowing the limitations are just the idea that basically you've got $100,000 of 1970s technology inside this doll now, and it's pretty interesting to see what
I
kids
think
will
that
do with
was
it.
that was like brilliant what Renee just said though, that Barbie is always on trend. This is the trend of the moment. And is she going to be around next year? That will be around. Whether Barbie will be around, but they'll take that technology and then hopefully iterate it to something really brilliant.
And it's exciting to see Mattel experimenting with technology. So we saw a lot of interesting technology in the technology aisle, which you talked about, Anki and others, which is great. We love seeing that innovation. We need to see whether those will reach a mass audience and whether those can work at mass. So to see a company like Mattel, which is working at mass, experimenting with new technology is exciting, and we hope to see more of that.
And then speaking of Mattel, the other headliner We're all Empire State Building. The other headliner.
Can I sneak in your meeting?
Yes, of course. The other headliner was the Viewmaster, and we were talking about that as well. And now we have a moderator for the huddle.
Yes.
The first.
Yes, you.
If people will spend money for this piece of plastic, or will they just get Google Cardboard, download the app, and be done with it? And I think they're going to monetize it off the reels. So they'll have a
$30.
What's that?
It's only $30.
The red thing.
Yeah. That's pretty nice.
And some discs. You get some discs
Like
with
coordinates
it
with
too.
it. Yeah,
to
it's
start
not a big
with.
deal.
$30 is a lot of cash to some folks, my friend. This is a family-rated huddle, okay?
You'll be editing that.
Well, another thing we saw was a lot more drones and robots.
Yeah.
And I like the Wowie Rev vehicles because they have the artificial intelligence in them. So you can, what's the hardest thing about racing a little race car, remote control race cars, is that you don't always have a friend with you, or dad's not always home to play with you. So you have one car that you can race yourself, the other one you put on artificial intelligence and you can race against it. So that's kind of fun. I think it has beacon sense technology, so they know where they are. Their new Mythosaur has it, and it can follow the ball, and of course they're very fluid kind of robots, and it gets kids into learning how to program and then see it executed afterwards.
One of the fun things about coding and programming was the conversation at Think Fun with the cellist.
Yes, the composer.
Yeah, and he was talking about this is the original code, and it's code that has code and programming that hasn't changed since Beethoven, and they use this code. And in a way, we're asking. I thought that was great to think about.
That's an interesting analogy.
In the whole context of the maker thing. But while Dan is here, Dan Tynan writes the Modern Family column for Yahoo Tech with David Pogue, and I know you walked the floor yesterday.
Oh my God, yes.
And I
Dragged
know.
my body across the floor 2 days.
And you were taking notes as things. Is there anything that you think should be highlighted?
Yeah.
For people who can't be at Toy Fair?
The notion of connected toys. I mean, we have connected everything. But there were 2 or 3 things that took it to a different level. One of them was I read about this Cognitoys thing, which they just announced across the street, Kickstarter, IBM Watson. So it's a dinosaur, you talk to it, kid talks to it.
Connected to Watson.
It connects to Watson.
Yeah.
So it connects all the way to the server. Watson parses an answer, sends it back. Remembers the kid, evolves over time. So asks the questions, what's 2 + 2? When he does that better, it asks a harder question.
So we can have Barbie talk with.
That's it. And
What's
Barbie's
the name of
second
the company?
example. The name of the company is Elemental Path.
Okay.
And the name of the product is a Cognitoy. They just launched a Kickstarter, but they won IBM's Watson Challenge last year.
Okay.
So they have kind of that imprimatur.
Did you have a feeling that it was more intelligent? You could have more of an intelligent conversation with
It than Barbie.
Barbie.
I really had to restrain my natural cynicism for Barbie. Also, the Barbie who was demonstrating the Barbie.
Yeah.
Politician. I always say anything is possible.
She's so funny, Barbie. She can also play games.
It was cast. It took a long time to cast.
Oh, that it did, and she was able to deliver those same corny lines exactly the same way.
She didn't
I watched
go
her for
off
6
script
months.
either.
Bang, 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 bang. I really wanted to ask Barbie, is math hard? And I restrained myself. I'm trying to be an adult.
Good for you.
No, a bunch of 10, and I talked to the dude.
Toy Talk.
I talked to that guy.
Yeah,
Really
Warren
smart guy.
Jacobs.
Really smart guy. And I said, what about this versus Watson? He says, hey, Barbie's a fictional character. She's scripted. They have writers. They have an identity. It's the right way to go for her because she's like an animated character. She's like Mickey Mouse, right? You don't expect Mickey Mouse to know theory of relativity. There's that. And then they mentioned the Mickey plush toy in the thing this
Smart
morning.
Toy by Smart Toys.
Smart
Yeah.
toys. And so that will also be the same sort of Wi-Fi connected toy. So what these things are doing is they aren't talking to your phone anymore. They aren't talking to your tablet. They're talking to the internet. And that's the interesting trend.
And they have embedded Wi-Fi,
Yes.
which everyone forgets to say. You have to somehow get that on your Wi-Fi network. How do they do that?
I asked them about that. There's an app for the Cognitoy. I didn't see the app though.
Oh, so it may be like a Bluetooth thing that you actually get the app, you're controlling it.
Yeah.
So
In case you have a security login. and you need to
Yeah,
enter
of
your
course.
password.
So it needs AA batteries and you're a
Right. Yeah,
smartphone.
but I thought that was interesting.
Yeah. Cool.
Did you see connected toys connecting to each other?
That's what I wondered. Yeah.
Because that's, sort of the promise of
Toys
Toy
talking
Story.
toys.
Anki toys do that, right?
Yeah, that's
And the Wowie Robotics toys, they have a
Yep.
thing that they do that.
Yeah, that's their Rev, R-E-V.
Yeah, Revs. I'm not sure their dinosaurs talk to you. I think
They
they all
do.
talk to the ball.
They have beacon sense technology.
really?
In fact, the MIP robots from last year can talk to Miposaur because they built that technology into MIP last year. So now, looking ahead, it can play with the dinosaur, the Miposaur.
and that's using the Bluetooth
The beacon sense technology they call it.
kind of
But yeah.
thing.
So you can just say, just go play among yourselves.
Right, you don't have the toys to play. You don't have to anymore.
Right.
That new Furby, the
Chewbacca?
Furby.
It's
For Baka.
Furbaka. Thank you.
He also speaks Wookiee, plays virtual games, and he will have a Furbaka app so that you
You
can.
nailed it. He uses they call it MOS or some kind of technology, but I thought it was Sonic Chirp. But anyway, you can feed it with your iPad now and all of that. There's a lot more integration of toys with, we saw this for the last 3 years. Yeah, with scanning something or just integrating
I
it.
like the new Lego Ultra Agents. Did you see that?
I didn't know.
You use a tablet and you have the building set, but they have special bricks that when you put them together in certain configurations, and you can build it with the product, and then you put it on the screen. It's like a
It's
microscope,
like an app-enabled
little-
brick, they call it.
Yeah, it's an app-enabled brick, and it says right in the box that you have an app-enabled brick in there. But it brings this storyline of these Ultra Agents. There's like 5 or 6 different storylines to life, and Lego really does it well because they add a lot of humor in there,
Yeah.
and they've got really in-depth
silliness.
storylines, and you can do a whole 360-degree, and you can play with the app without having the brick. Also, I like that. You
I
might-
did get over to Vex Robotics, and
Yes.
I was really impressed by how they've taken everything up a notch in both ease of use and expanding what you can do with a button cell battery-driven toy. But particularly the fish that, there was a jellyfish,
aquafish,
the
yeah.
aquafish. That was cool.
It goes up and down, and the
Yeah, that I think you're going to see that and just go, wow.
Last year they had the goldfish last year, and I was awed by that. I still am. I still think.
And
that's
then one of them has a remote control.
and they have sharks.
Yeah, that you can actually steer and move around in your tank, which is really cool.
That's cool. Well,
So-
I'll just add one thing, which is, full disclosure, I didn't go to the show, but we're watching this connected toy idea really closely, and it just feels like this is maybe the first or second inning, to use a sports metaphor, of this happening. But I think what you're going to see is this evolution of toys that can be played with unconnected or connected, apps that can be played with connected or unconnected, and then ideally the two come together, right? But that kids aren't necessarily left out if they have one or the other. And I think eventually it starts to link up with some bigger trends like, connected homes and whatever. I think that's out a ways, right? But you can imagine it being pretty fun for a kid to create a little toy that, turns the lights on and off or whatever it is. Just you start to have mood lighting while you're acting out a scene with your Lego characters or whatever it is. So we're watching that pretty closely, and we think that people who give kids more power in terms of what the toy is able to do will ultimately end up kind of rising to the top. So anyway, that's my 2 cents.
Yeah, excellent.
And I think we should talk about 3D printing.
Okay.
Because that's one of the new trends that came out of CES, and it is top of mind for people and the maker movement. We have at least 4 different ones that are kind of tied to a price range that's somewhat reasonable for the toy industry.
We're going to do a closer.
Okay.
Everyone do a closer. How about if...
An
you-
augmented reality.
Yeah. Thank you for coming to the 16th annual Low Budget Huddle. And we'll see you next year.
All right. Bye, everybody.
Everybody
Bye, everyone.
play well and watch out for crazies because they're out there. We're going to end with a closing shot past Dan of the Empire State Building. There it is.
Cruisers going through his eyes as he's spinning the tube.